In the Broadway, Manchester neighborhood of South LA, on the corner of Broadway and 94th Street, sits a vast, quiet, and unkept lot flanked by affordable housing developments. At first glance, like most open lots of the city, this lot doesn't mean much beyond being the epitome of disinvestment in South LA. But what if I said that nearly 7 decades ago, this lot wasn't empty, but full of hope, purpose, and innovation? What if I said that this was the site of a hospital that served Southwest Los Angeles? This is the history of the Broadway Hospital in South LA and how it was built and demolished all within 40 years. In the early 1950s, Los Angeles, along with other cities across California, experienced rapid population growth. On the other hand, the state experienced growing pains, which entailed a massive shortage of hospital beds in swiftly developing areas like Southwest LA. Likely an effort to meet the need for hospitals, Dr. Robert L. Horowitz and a team of osteopathic physicians formed the Manchester Hospital Corporation in 1954. Through the corporation, the physicians planned to build a major hospital center called the Manchester Hospital on Broadway between 94th and Colden Avenue. Sometime between 1954 and 1956, the Manchester Hospital Corporation changed the name of the medical institution from Manchester Hospital to Broadway Hospital. Beyond the name change, the Manchester Hospital Corporation privately financed the hospital and planned to gradually expand the institution in phases. The first stage of the hospital included a 56-bed unit that would house both major and minor surgery units, a nursing wing, a laboratory, and kitchen area. Impending plans included a maternity wing and additional beds to accommodate patients. The Broadway Hospital opened for operation in September of 1957 after the Manchester Hospital Corporation's board established a well-credentialed roster of doctors from across the city. After an introductory success over a near 5-year period, Broadway Hospital began its second phase of expansion in 1962, building out a $200,000 maternity wing, which handled as many as 200 maternity cases per month. Like the initial launch, the Broadway Hospital's maternity wing expansion housed a modern delivery suite and new maternal care technology. By the early 1960s, the Broadway Hospital was recognized throughout Los Angeles. The Southwest Wave ran articles on new babies being born at the Broadway Hospital weekly. And in 1963, it became a member of the American Hospital Association and the California Hospital Association. In August of that year, it received an emergency center designation by the Los Angeles County, denoting that it had the staff capable of handling all emergencies around the clock. Within just 7 years, the Broadway Hospital exceeded the standard in filling a critical need in Southwest Los Angeles. But where and how did things go wrong? The Broadway Hospital had a slow and steady decline that began in the mid-1960s. In 1964, a year after it received its emergency designation from Los Angeles County, the Broadway Hospital ended its emergency service contract with Los Angeles County on its own accord. Broadway Hospital still had sights set on its initial planned 50s-era expansion. In 1970, the board of the Broadway Hospital announced plans to build a $3.5 million addition to the Broadway Hospital. This update would include 120 beds and 50,000 square feet of space that would include upgraded X-ray and laboratory facilities, a new surgery suite, and 10 electronic intensive care unit beds. But those plans never came into fruition. At the end of the 1970s, Governor Jerry Brown zeroed in on 5 hospitals that were conducting Medi-Cal fraud in Southern California, overcharging the state for covered services. The Broadway Hospital was one of those 5 institutions listed in the governor's audit. The Los Angeles Times reported that the state auditors accused the Broadway Hospital of overcharging the state by over $184,000 in the 1976 fiscal year. According to the chief hospital administrator, Fred Helmer, the employee retirement benefit was entirely necessary because it was, and I quote, an effort to keep employees in the ghetto. The employee retirement benefit Broadway Hospital created, nonetheless, was audited as profit distribution, and using Medi-Cal funding to generate any form of profit is illegal. The Broadway Hospital's fraudulent activity was only the tip of the iceberg of its faltering performance. In the 1980s, the Los Angeles Times ran several articles that exposed the malpractice occurring within the institution, including the failure of the hospital to uphold an approved intensive care unit, which was a state requirement to take in local emergency cases. The hospital also had a high senior mortality rate, particularly in the early 1980s. A professional standard review organization study found that 15% of Broadway Hospital's Medicare patients died in the facility during the last 6 months of 1980. By March of 1982, after the Times expose on the Broadway Hospital, the state deemed Broadway Hospital a threat to public health. County officials moved to shut down the hospital, but according to the LA Times, by the time the officials arrived at the hospital, the doors were locked shut with a note reading, "Hospital is closed" at the door. The deputy attorney served a 61-page complaint to temporarily suspend the hospital's license, but by then, Broadway Hospital had completely ceased its operation. Dr. Robert L. Horowitz, the founding Manchester Hospital Corporation agent, was still chair and president of the hospital board from the height of the hospital to its decline in 1982. I found no other mention of Horowitz and the Broadway Hospital after the hospital was abandoned. Months later, Los Angeles City building records suggest that the hospital was taken over by Century Community Hospital, a nonprofit healthcare corporation that was founded in Michigan. As early as January of 1983, less than a year after Broadway Hospital was abandoned, Century Community Hospital ran an ad to fill most of the positions left by the Broadway Hospital. While a noble attempt to save the hospital, Los Angeles City documents point to the hospital ceasing all operations by 1988, 5 years after taking over for the Broadway Hospital. With Century Community Hospital out and Manchester Hospital Corporation disbanded as of March of 1986, no hope was left for the community hospital. After 2 failures of the hospital, the city of Los Angeles gained ownership of the building and later demolished the shuttered structure in 1994, leaving no trace of the institution, and the lot has remained vacant for nearly 30 years. While vacant, there had been few discussions of repurposing the lot. The original lot was divided up to make room for 3 affordable housing apartment complexes through the city of Los Angeles. In 2010, a city department attempted to work with Numero Uno to build a supermarket on the unused portion of city-owned land, but an agreement was never reached. According to Urbanize LA in 2020, 94B LLC, a development entity, started a conversation with the city of Los Angeles to purchase the land to build a mixed-use project with 180 additional apartments and 41,000 square feet of commercial space. The new commercial space, according to the plans previously submitted for the city to review, is intended to house an unnamed grocery store. As of now, the state of this land is still up in the air and is, at the least, showing signs of reinvestment in South LA. It is, however, a shame that beyond this video and a scattered collection of news articles, there are no signs that a private hospital existed, served, and even failed in this now underserved neighborhood of Los Angeles. While the hospital no longer exists, I hope its story encourages others to continue to document and uphold history in all spaces around us.